Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy J this morning is Sean from Elmwood Park. And as we spoke about last hour with Brett Baer, the D.C. press corps and the ruling class is doing their best to not have to account for their lionization of Nipples Ring Gambino over the last year, the sanctification of one Andrew Cuomo. They're doing their best. They're doing their best not to pay attention to the infighting that's going on in Democrat socialist circles in New York State. But thanks to Steve Doocy over at Fox News, the Biden administration had to weigh in through its spokesbeing, Jen Psaki, and that means you can't ignore her response. Note the shifting standard of analysis when it comes to sexual harassment / assault allegations against one Nipples Ring Gambino as compared to, say, a Brett Kavanaugh. Jen Psaki.
The president has been consistent in his position. When a person comes forward, they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. Their voice should be heard, not silenced, and any allegation should be reviewed. Governor Cuomo is also the governor of one of the largest states in the country that has been one of the hardest hit, with millions of people still suffering from an ongoing pandemic and an economic crisis. And our focus is to continue working with governors from across the country, from a range of states, on how we're helping people in their states.
She sped past that nicely. You may not have caught the new standard. Let's try again with Kristen Gillibrand, the vacuous cheerleader / New York U.S. Senator.
These allegations are serious and deeply concerning, and anyone has a right to come forward to be heard and to have allegations be investigated. Governor Cuomo also has a right to be heard, and he has come forward and has denied these allegations. But ultimately, the decision will be up to the state legislature.
Did you catch it? See, when it's Cuomo or Spitzer or Wiener, it's the right to be heard. That's what the woman has, the right to be heard. When it was Kavanaugh, you'll recall it was the right to be believed. Sans any commentary from Brett Kavanaugh, just so you understand the consistency or lack thereof of all these Me Too heroines like Kristen Gillibrand. For more on the topic, we're pleased to be joined by David Marcus. He is a Federalist.com columnist as well as a contributor to the New York Post, and he's joining us from CPAC in Orlando. David, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
So what about that standard? Do I have that right? Did I notice a bit of a dial turn there when it comes to the good governor?
I do think you have it right, although I'm going to quibble with your mafia analogy. The Gambino crime family was one of the most successful and frankly amazing crime families in New York. I would compare Governor Cuomo to the Lucchese crime family, which was kind of a bumbling operation.
Wait a second. So I'm actually, it's not a crime family reference because I don't want to get tagged with like an Italian slur. It's actually a Childish Gambino reference. So it's a Donald Glover rap reference, and I'm throwing in the nipple rings thing. And I also wanted to get your local knowledge on the topic. This was a controversy a couple of months ago, and some people have suggested that it was never proven definitively that he is actually someone who sports nipple rings. It looks like he did, and I wonder if you know the truth.
Nobody knows anything about Andrew Cuomo. Look, the point that I keep making about Andrew Cuomo, I had the opportunity to have a nice long conversation with a great Chicago columnist, John Cass, about this, is Cuomo still operates as if he's the head of a big Democratic Party machine. Right? You guys know about this in Chicago, right? You had Rahm Emanuel, who would be naked in the gym, walking up to people, sticking his finger in someone's chest and saying,
"That wasn't his
you
finger.
You go along." Right. It'd say, "You go along, or I'm going to destroy you." Which is exactly what Andrew Cuomo said to State Representative Ron Kim in New York. But we're in a post-machine age. That worked 15 years ago. It doesn't work anymore, right? Kim can go to Twitter. Kim can go to the networks and defy the head of the Democratic Party machine. And Cuomo's discovering this. look, it's a problem, man. We've known for months that he's been lying about the numbers in the nursing homes. Finally, the very progressive Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, came out with a report and said, you're lying. There's 10,000 people dead who you didn't report. That's a Democrat. AOC is calling for an investigation. I mean, this guy's in trouble, man. It's big trouble. And the media can try to cover for him. His brother can try to cover for him on CNN. It's not going to work.
The reality, this is Sean Thompson. The reality is the Democrat Party is the party of the mafia. I mean, we say it in jest, but that is the actual fact of what the Democrat Party is. And when you see this kind of dual standard, it kind of reminds you of the people running cover for him are the exact ones that would be crowing like a rooster under any other circumstances. But they leave off the word. The people can be heard, but they also are ignored. And this is something that I am amazed at, the complacency of the people who are still willing to call themselves Democrats. Now, we know that they're primarily in on the scam, but are there still that many people too stupid to see the scam?
I don't know. I mean, you know, there may be or there may not be, but you know, I think what we can take some hope from is the fact that Republicans are bucking against people like Liz Cheney, who are useful idiots, saying, "Oh, we have to take care of the white supremacy issue in the Republican Party." What? Right? We have a Democratic Party that basically insists that we judge everybody by their skin color. That's the line of the Democratic Party. And we have a Republican Party now, you know, driven by Trump, you know, but driven more by this sort of like older populist message that really came from guys like Pat Buchanan, right? This is older than Trump. That says, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to judge people by their skin color. We're going to judge people by their merit. We're going to judge people by the content of their character, right? That used to be the measure, and it still should be. And there are millions of Americans, tens of millions of Americans, and not just white Americans, but Hispanic and black and Asian blue-collar workers and people all across this country who aren't taking it anymore. And my goodness, it's a blessed thing.
You had an excellent piece on Liz Cheney and this statement that she made that you just referenced, where she's essentially adopting the caricature of the Republican Party by the left, and that she essentially knows what she's doing. And this was it was interesting because I agree with you in the context of something else Mitt Romney said in an interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin about how he represents a tiny wing of the Republican Party. And he may have been trying to be self-effacing or may not, but regardless, he's accurate. And I think one of the things that's happened from the Trump presidency forward is a lot more people have gotten wise to the Mitt Romneys and the Liz Cheneys of the world. They see them for who they actually are, which is not Republican Party leaders, not conservative leaders. Their voting record is irrelevant in the conversation, frankly. They are status seekers, and so they will do and say what they need in the direction of status. And most of them, of this ilk, are happy to sell out their constituents or their stated values in order to have lunch with Klaus Schwab in Davos.
What Liz Cheney did was not only unconscionable, it's unforgivable, because her colleagues are going to pay the price for this, right? This is why Representative Chip Roy, who defended Cheney for her absurd vote to impeach Trump. And by the way, look at Tuesday's testimony before the Senate hearing on what happened at the Capitol. Right? What did we learn? We learned that nobody anticipated this kind of attack. Right? We learned that there was one piece of intelligence that maybe didn't get run up the line, but like what we heard from every person there was, we thought this was going to look like the MAGA rallies from November and December. Nobody anticipated it, right? If Donald Trump could not have anticipated the attack on the Capitol, how could he possibly have incited it? Right? So we know that now. And what Liz Cheney is doing by throwing Republican voters under the bus and her own colleagues, right? Listen, man, like every Democrat who runs against a Republican member of Congress is going to have an ad that has Liz Cheney saying Republicans are the party of white supremacy. It's unforgivable. It's unforgivable.
I 100% agree. I think that's spot on. And just on the matter of January 6th and owning the truth of what happened on that day, which I hope President Trump addresses. I expect he will in some material way on Sunday when he speaks at CPAC. But I wanted to play this, too, because I agree with you that the testimony this week essentially exonerates Trump, as do the statements from people who voted to convict him, like Amy Klobuchar, that this was a coordinated attack. Well, if it's coordinated, by definition, he didn't incite it, because it was, unless you want to charge him as a conspirator, which nobody says he is. They said he incited. That was the charge. So they can't have it both ways. And it's interesting because one of the pieces of evidence they tried to use is the people who've been arrested for violence on that day. They're saying, I thought Trump wanted me to do this. And a federal judge has addressed that evidence, and so has one of the Young Turks in addressing what the federal judge had to say. Listen to what Anna Gasparian from the Young Turks, which is like the biggest leftist show online, what she has to say in her conclusions as someone who wanted to see Trump impeached and convicted.
Well, we know that one particular federal judge is not buying it. At a bail hearing for Proud Boy member William Crestman from Kansas, who is accused of storming the Capitol, Chief U.S. District Court Judge Beryl Howell said she was dubious about the legal merit of the effort to shift blame toward the former president and his inflammatory rhetoric about the election. So here's what she said during this case. This purported defense, if recognized, would undermine the rule of law. Then, just like a king or a dictator, the president could dictate what would be legal and what isn't in this country. And that is not how we operate. So she also, gave some examples of how, this wouldn't apply in some of the extreme cases, right? So if President Trump ordered or instructed a member of the Proud Boys to go off and murder somebody, and someone went off and did that, it follows that would immunize them from liability for that criminal act. In effect, isn't that what your legal argument is saying? And of course, this was a question that was posed to the lawyers representing William Crestman. And so she's not buying it. I think that it's right to not buy it.
She's not buying. It's not right to not buy it. So what we know from impeachment 2.0 is the same thing we learned from impeachment 1.0. Not only is there no underlying evidence to support the charge, the actual evidence points in the opposite direction.
Look, I know you're interviewing me, and it's untoward for me to ask you a question. But let me ask you this question, even if it is untoward. Did Donald Trump take to Twitter to urge people to bail out the Capitol rioters?
Right. You mean like Kamala Harris?
He might have been reelected
like Kamala
if he
Harris
did that.
did, right? I mean, Kamala Harris, when people in Minneapolis were burning down businesses, and in fact we know that somebody was burned alive and killed in one of those buildings, she took to Twitter and said, hey, here's the Minneapolis bail fund. Let's bail these guys out. Did Donald Trump do that? I don't think he did. Now, listen, I don't think Trump handled that day particularly well, but I remember that day really well, right? We had at the Federalist 2 people on the ground. And as this was happening, I was getting reports from the people on the ground. We didn't know what was going on. Clearly, the Capitol Police didn't know what was going on. I don't know that the White House knew exactly. I don't know that anybody knew exactly what was going on. This was a mess. And I'm not defending the mess that happened, and I'm not defending Trump's reaction to it. But my goodness, there's a double standard here as far as how we look at these situations. And why is Washington, D.C. a war zone right now? Why are there tens of thousands of troops. You know, why is this like 1864 in Washington, D.C.? I don't know the answer to that.
He is David Marcus. Catch his work at the Federalist, Federalist.com, as well as NewYorkPost.com. And David, we'll look forward to your reviews on everything that transpires at CPAC this weekend as well. Thanks for joining us, as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Have a great one.
You too. You joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When you're ready to be more successful and would like to devote more time to your business instead of dealing with the headaches, there's Turnkey.
Businesses like yours have relied on us for over 25 years to help make sense of their technology. But you face more than just technology challenges. For that, Turnkey introduces another great tool to add to your arsenal, a business consulting division. We're ready to help you drive revenue and reduce cost with IT, marketing, and consulting in a package that's customizable and unique to your business.
It's time to grow your business and find out how and where to make more money. Get started with the Turnkey Opportunity Scorecard to analyze your current situation and find specific growth and improvement potential for your business. And now, get 50% off as an introduction to this service. Find out more at turnkey.pro.
IT services are still the cornerstone, but now Turnkey IT is simply Turnkey, helping you concentrate on the important stuff.
Go to turnkey.pro today.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and by now you've all heard me talk about MyPillow and how it literally changed my life. You've probably seen the stories that some big box retailers are caving under pressure from progressives to take MyPillow products off their shelves. So now for a limited time, Mike is offering his premium MyPillows, yes, the one that started it all, at his lowest price ever. You can get a queen-size premium MyPillow, regularly $69.98, for only $29.98. That's a $40 savings. Folks, now is the time to buy. You can show your support for this great American company by ordering from MyPillow today. Don't let cancel culture win. $29.98 for a queen-size premium MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com and click on the radio listener square. There you'll also find deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets, the MyPillow mattress topper, and MyPillow towel sets. Or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code AMY.
Does it feel like your house is getting smaller every day? Like the walls are closing in around you? If you're like most people, you're spending more time at home working